Good afternoon, whatever time you're tuning in, man. Let's react to Abby Phillips covering the Los Angeles, California fire. And let's go, man. Let's see what they're talking about here.
President Trump has raised the issue of FEMA not having enough money, et cetera. This is your territory. Is the Congress going to fully fund what California needs in order to handle these fires, to recover from them if it's needed?
Absolutely, we should. This, of course, is a town that constantly disappoints people, but shame on all of us if we don't acknowledge that these disasters hit every state, and this is a really big one. People need to expect that their state, local, and federal government are going to be there, and we need to be.
I think that members always end up coming together when it comes to these disasters and doing the right thing by the people that are there. What really becomes the glue that puts it all together is the actual execution of the resources. And that's something that I think members of Congress need to do a much better job about, is making sure that the money gets on the ground to the people who need it the most in the manner and the speed at which
And
they
just
need it.
in December, we did together, Republicans and Democrats, refill much of that disaster fund. This is going to take a lot of money out of that.
So we are in, it's January 8th. President Trump is going to be inaugurated in just a few days.
About to say.
The incoming president, I hate to say it, but he has a history of threatening to not fund fire relief, specifically to California.
What did they do to Puerto Rico? I mean, we spent historic amounts of money on Puerto Rico.
Let me just play what President Trump said. This was just in October about actually fires in California.
We're going to take care of our farmers. We're going to take care of your water situation. And we'll force it down his throat. And we'll say, Gavin, if you don't do it, we're not giving you any of that fire money that we send you all the time for all the forest fires that you have.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say is that I would feel more comfortable if we decided to send additional resources to FEMA now, before he is sworn into office. So my charge to the newly elected Speaker of the House is, let's get a bill on the floor. Let's come together just like we came together when it dealt with Georgia and North Carolina and Florida. And let's make sure that California has the resources without delay, and make sure that there is no planned politics. Because
Can we ask Georgia people how they feel about that?
He has already made it clear that he likes to pick and choose who it is that he wants to support. And while the Congress may come together, I don't know what he's going to do with the veto pen. So I think that we should get it done while we still have a President Joe Biden.
Look, the Congress and the president, whether they do it now or 2 weeks from now, is going to obviously fund this and take care of this, and they need to. It's important. However, I do think this: policy changes should come along with this relief money here. With whatever it takes to rebuild and to fix, we have to look at the root causes, whatever forest management problems there are, whatever water problems there are, whatever issues happen in the local governance. Rebuilding here is a good thing, and everybody should support it, but we ought to, as taxpayers, expect necessary policy changes at the federal, state, and local level so that it doesn't happen again.
Does that include climate change and addressing that?
Clearly, we need to be good stewards of the environment. And America, I think, has a better track record on this front than most people give us credit for. The reality is, in the last few years, we've reduced our carbon.
Man, these people with climate change, man. In no way climate change is the cause of all that. People just need to be, especially the governors, they need to do something different when it comes to, they know that their land is dry, but they care more about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they care more about fish, a fish, more than care of their own people, So we need to calm down and take care of your own people. Stop all this nonsense.
Footprint by more than the next 15 carbon-reducing countries combined. I would say this, clearly, President Trump speaks from the stump in a very different way than I do. It said that you campaign in poetry and you govern in prose. We actually know how this guy is going to govern. He was president for 4 years. He didn't cut off funding. He didn't look at people whose homes were burned down and say, forget about it. You had a Biden sign in your yard, so we're just going to pass on by your home. Those things did happen in the last administration, probably in a narrow way. But I got to tell you, Donald Trump will be there to help out people in California. He was there 4 years ago. He'll be there now.
I'm just going to read one quote.
What is wrong with what he said? Yeah. That make Trump look like he's a monster or something. What he's saying is, if Governor Newsom don't do what he said, he's gonna cut some stuff. That's all.
Of them from his time in office, but just one as it relates to this. This is Kevin Carroll, a former Homeland Security official, told the New York Times and Politico and The Guardian, Trump absolutely didn't want to give aid to California or Puerto Rico purely for partisan politics. I hear what you're saying about the hurricanes, what happened in North Carolina and Florida. I do, though, think that there is a track record here of Trump, too, where his own aides, there are several others I didn't read, but his own aides say they had to convince him that there were votes there for him.
Well, I think
there are no votes in Puerto Rico.
I think what's going to be important is
Which
that
is why
we have.
they didn't.
But what did we do? I mean,
Let me
people
finish.
make this
Excuse me,
allegation
Scott, let me
about Puerto
finish.
Rico,
What I
but it's
think
like we
what
funded.
is going to be important is when the Senate is confirming those cabinet members.
That's what I was about to say.
Speaking with them about what their policy ideas are and what they're going to do. Because when you're reading things like that, we recognize that it was the individuals who were there as experts, cabinet members, officials, who were able to convince the president to do certain things or convince him not to do other things. And we want to make sure that those great minds are still there for him to be able to provide that guidance and support so that when Congress does give bills, good people like Jasmine and others who are working on these things to be able to put it in front of him to get him to sign it and to do the right thing.
I think that that's really the big issue, is that he was surrounded by what I would consider to be actual experts, people that had actual resumes talking of diversity, equity, inclusion, and people just getting jobs and they're not qualified. I mean, when you look at the people that he has decided to nominate for these posts, we're talking about people that have never served a day in a lot of these various agencies that he's now like, oh, you.
I mean, you say that, but the American people say it differently, though. They approve of the people that he picked. Democrats don't approve. They want pick people like them that just take the money and do whatever they want with it. For now, he picked what the American people wants.
Go ahead and head this agency. He has specifically decided that loyalist
And
is.
thank God there will not be no diversity, equity, and inclusion during this presidency. Thank Jesus.
He wants around him people that will not give him that honest kind of reflective moment and say, you know what, this isn't what we do. And that is my biggest concern about this. And listen, I wasn't here serving as a member of Congress, so I can't say what he did and didn't do from an up close and personal perspective when he was in office before. But what I can say is what he threatens to do, along with the judgment that we've seen thus far going into this second administration, his judgment is way worse. I mean, looking at just the cabinet picks, obviously, we still have other decisions that he's going to have to make. But I can tell you one thing for sure, is that California will not have to worry if we get this done before Trump is in office. And if we wait, then I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay, I got to say two things. First off, when it comes to rhetoric, I get it. In private moments, Donald Trump complains about Gavin Newsom. I'm guilty of that too. I don't think the guy's a good governor. I think he's lousy. But you can't show me one single emergency disaster declaration that he rejected because he thought a governor was a bozo. He delivered for Puerto Rico. He delivered for every place that was hit by disaster. And I got to say this about the capacity of the nominees. The next Secretary of Homeland Security is going to be Kristi Noem. That's my governor. And the idea that she's not qualified to get this done is totally without evidentiary basis. I have seen her in moments of terrible tragedy be there for people 24 hours a day, holding them as they cry, helping them gather their things after a tornado. She is going to be a total ass kicker. And this country will deliver in disasters under Donald Trump because of Kristi Noem.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
You're going to be in trouble with your wife because you said you weren't going to use it.
I know, that's right. Yeah, sorry, baby. Sorry.
You know, I find this conversation interesting because the current president is a Democrat. All of his appointees are Democrats. The leadership in California is all Democrats. We're doing a lot of doom casting about what Donald Trump may or may not do, but there doesn't seem to be much accountability for what the current people in charge didn't do that led to these issues, which I think the people of California should be asking
I
these
think part
questions.
of the issue is that there's a desire to cast blame when a natural disaster happens.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what you're doing right now. You're casting blame on Trump for the past fire. Let's cast blame right now to the current president of the United States of America. You know, where. Thank you guys for watching. This is a new channel, man. Please subscribe, share, and comment. Peace.